17th October 2025 success mindset video. I'm busy plotting, as I always do, plotting life, overthinking, but I thought I'd explore some of the things that I've witnessed from success around me, success in society, and maybe how success can be viewed in life in general. The first thing I wanted to cover is hypocrisy, or accepting our shortcomings and striving for more. I very much have experienced a lot of failure. I've also experienced very interesting success and what those things look like. I think it's important as we go through life. Moments are going to be more compromising than others. Bad decisions, impulses will get the best of us in certain moments. I think it's important that we accept these, not try and run away from our shortcomings, but actually face them and understand that everyone is hypocritical. We all have morals and standards and higher values that we all aim and strive for, and it's important to find common ground on that, but also not to let this desire for higher ground firstly become a shackle, because it can become a cycle of guilt and could have done so much better, I could have been so much more. Very dangerous cycle to be in. Hypocrisy also can be seen straw man an argument where we feel like not setting ourselves up to the same standard as others, and likewise, hypocrisy is a very interesting thing to accept it in ourselves and others, and to see other people's actions through a lens of what you would deem as an acceptable situation for people to behave the way that they behave. It's a difficult one, for sure. Sometimes I wonder, what is the other option? What is there beyond hypocrisy? There are very few examples of beings that have lived without hypocrisy. I think that's why it's really powerful to listen to prophetic stories and try and gain the good out of those situations. I recently went over the Old and New Testament in very quick Cliff Notes sort of way. It's good to get the moral. I could go in a very long tangent on my favorite Chinese novel, Losing Money to Become a Tycoon, because I think it's a spiritual book, similar to way the Tao Te Ching was a spiritual book, similar to how a lot of Gospels are spiritual books. Fast forward just for this, I think reading the prophetic tales in the Quran is, it really gives you some awesome clues there. Number 2, skills that count. And I'll also take a moment here. The other things that I would like to cover in this video for success mindset is, the first was hypocrisy. The second is skills that count. The third would be faith in moving forward. Fourth is kind of a conglomerate of 3 questions. What is feedback? What is hate? And who should care? And should you care? I'm just adding that should you care on top of that. But those are the 4 steps I actually want to go through, which I think is what creates an environment of success. Accepting hypocrisy, because I feel like shame and all those lower vibrational emotions are what really hold up people in the first bit. Once you move past that, skills that count is actually doing stuff, just doing stuff that are in a realm of working and will work and will move you forward. And then the shadow, the winter, faith in moving forward. So that's kind of the winter of the 4-season cycle. And then spring, what is feedback? What is hate? Should you care? Just like the reinvigoration of the next round of ideas and keeping things moving forward once you've held on. Skills that count. Okay, so when it comes to business, what a lot of modern businesses are selling is breakage, fish hooks, custom fit. Now, I got these ideas from the legendary Alex Becker, like a spiritual guide, if one could say, just from, I think, anybody's ability to speak their truth and be really authentic to who they are. I think of people like Rory Sutherland, the ex-Ogilvy head guy, brilliant at branding. Imagine you become the head of a branding company and you yourself have a brilliant personal brand. It's practicing what you preach. So, breakage. There's a lot of processes in business where money is lost. Think of a bucket. Now, a bucket can hold a lot of water. Let's say it's a really old bucket, or maybe it's even one of those meme Chinese woven baskets, but someone is using it for, why did I say it's a meme? I'm just thinking because where I see these images is in the meme, and then in that 2 a.m. in the night TikTok video of the Chinese guy living in a rural area and just like he just makes everything from scratch. That kind of basket, lifting water. So you're trying to use a basket for water, right? So it holds water, and if you're quick enough to the destination of where you'd like to take the water, you would have a reasonable amount of water. Modern day businesses are not sealed buckets. You can never be a sealed bucket. Only a sealed bucket and its many derivatives to the macro that is economic forces and businesses. Nothing is ever airtight, and legally the government prevents anybody from being a perfect bucket. It has to be holds for other businesses to operate. That's the whole anti-monopoly, antitrust thing. So breakage, right? Breakage is those small places where you can patch up where a business is losing money. And being that business that does that, you profit from providing the service to a business that otherwise wouldn't have done it, giving their cut through whatever benefits and whatever the case may be is, and then profiting from that difference. You can even charge businesses something to go fetch that money for them and deliver it to them. And that's the small percentage fee that you take on from doing the job. It's a brilliant business idea. Breakage could even be seen like, think about a rat infestation in a restaurant, right? The rat is eating into the restaurant's money, reserves, profits, whatever you want to label it as. So a rat is eating in the restaurant. You kill the rat. The restaurant pays you to kill the rat. It's probably a wild analogy because it just proves that you're earning money all around, right? You're getting paid to kill the rat. And in this instance, the rat is the fact that the company is losing money, and you can even profit off of that money that is theirs, but you've fetched it for them. You're basically the threshold between failure and success within this specific realm. Brilliant. And the funny thing is, all of this just takes a bit of effort. I am so lazy, I just like watching. Bringing this information to you is part of my hypocrisy. First step, getting over your hypocrisy. The second is fish hooks. Selling fish hooks. This is a powerful analogy because you could even think of, okay, I go to the beach. I go see that people are coming to fish. They were fishing. They lost their lure. Maybe they lost their fish hook. I'm selling the fish hook now. There at the beach. So it could even be considered in that way. But that is not the actual intention. Fish hook is really just selling the marketing of something, right? Creating the best way for them to interact with the wider public. You're B2B, you're providing a service to the business and you're getting customers for them. So their customers is not your customers. They're your customer and you getting them customers by being that fish hook between the wider market and the business. It's powerful because you're attaching yourself onto mildly successful things that could be even more successful, which is a powerful idea. Now, third one of the business skills is custom fit. There is so many solutions out there. The internet is overflowing with solutions. Even I could be a psychologist, but I didn't train to be a psychologist for people. But I can be a psychologist for businesses and business people. So that's where this comes in. It's crazy too that, I would like to go back to this idea of hypocrisy because I would have loved to be able to show you deeper that I practice what I preach. But I'm currently doing that with a few entrepreneur-minded people, and I'm trying to see the implementation of all these ideas that I have if I cannot make their processes better for them. Okay, now on to the second big heading. So the first big heading was businesses that you can do for the modern era, and that was breakage, fish hooks, and custom fits. If you're not clear about custom fits and I didn't give you a deep enough analysis, you can DM me at Oxidwares and we can go deeper into that. But now the second big heading is skills, and the smaller four headings of the skills is selling, making, design, and hunting. Now skills, these are the skills that also help businesses, are needed in businesses, as a business person, as a human in general, you should have a nice understanding and balance of all of these ideas. That's why they exist. So I got these ideas from my first million podcast. Brilliant idea. Just trying to give everybody the opportunity to work, find space in the market. The real chat is, if enough people are in a market, it can become steady source of income because there's enough for anybody. Anyway, so the skills needed: selling, making, design, hunting. Now, selling, easy. That is to sell an idea. I wish I was better at selling ideas. I feel like I don't have the eye. I think I have a good technical understand. I think most of my creativity leans very much in a technical manner, being able to tweak here and there and know what the little numbers do and chiki chiki chiki, those kind of ones, right? But selling is the ability to really change people's mind state and move them towards a desired result. And the real thing is, it's not to move them towards a result they don't desire, but making them feel comfortable with the cost perhaps that it takes to move from their current position to the solution of their problem. That is really what selling is all about. I hope I concisely got that for people. Okay, second under skills is making. Making should also be very straightforward to everybody. Make something. There's a problem, create the solution. Put stuff together. The Lego man, it's so straightforward. If you like making things, this is a powerful skill. And not everyone needs to like making, because guess what? That means it's a business for someone else. Making electronics. Obviously now if we look at China, they've just perfected industrialization. Every little tweak is done by each person, and something gets created at the end of the day. Such a small black mirror in our pocket is designed from several processes moving together. It's a skill. If you can make something like woodwork, something bespoke, even more powerful. Design. Now design is the third under skills, and design is so important. It's architecture. It's that little bit of space and time before an action is done. That is design. Pinch your purposefulness, knowing that a decision was curated. That is design. Where text floats. Even the framing of this video, funny enough, but that's just to show that there's a lot of thoughts going on. Just imagine this big white space next to me as the space for me and my ideas to expand into. So that's design. I think all of these is so straightforward. Hunting. Now hunting might be the least straightforward, but it's still pretty straightforward, because one thing that has made humans successful through some of the craziest catastrophes, of course, first things first, God. Our earth is big enough that a catastrophe can happen on one side and success can still be achieved on the opposite side of the planet. The most horrible atrocities could be happening in one corner, where people are literally just dying of boredom in another corner. Like, this is the dichotomy that is available at such a wide scale. Now, within that dichotomy, there lies opportunities that, if given the right support, the investment, the forethought and preparation added as a skill to this opportunity, then it can come to great success. It can become very successful. And hunting is the ability to actually seize on opportunities. It's the reason why all these big animals don't exist anymore. We ate them all aggressively, penultimately. So this is the third of the 4 big titles, and we are now past skills and we've gone into scale. How do you scale? Code and content. Hopefully that should actually be also a pretty straightforward. Code. We have AI now. We have Claude coding. We have Gemini from Google. We have actual coders. We have actual coding languages that you can go out there and learn from. So there's really no excuse to yourself. I say this to myself really, but it's also for the benefit of everyone else who can see the depth to which I enjoy researching and just not acting on stuff. But code and content. Now, the second one, content. This is what I am taking advantage of. This is what this video is. My outsized investment as a being. And that is that content is king out of everything. If you have reasonable amount of proof, good at explaining, and have put out media like this, explaining ideas, it is by far one of the best ways to scale your existence, your ideas, your temperament, all of that. And that's the two ways that you scale: code and content. Now think about code, how powerful code is. All the platforms that content is hosted on is housed with code. Crazy, right? So if you can think about code as the masculine for the content's feminine, code is what sets the structures for all of these. And this is the whole gendered pay gap. Masculine roles tend to pay more than feminine roles because they are, I don't want to say they're harder. They're not harder. They are more likely to maintain other structures in a, I'm thinking of like a bracket and what goes in the bracket. Bod mass, brackets, and then all the other stuff inside. If you understand where I was going with that, hopefully you do. I think I should move on to culture. Now, when you expand your community, and if you're a company, expand the company, which is also your community, culture is so vital in this situation. It needs to be understood that show me your friends and I'll show you your future. That's kind of what it is. And the whole thing behind that is cohesion, energy, coordination. Now, I believe I got this from Neil Patel. What kind of culture do you want around yourself? Once again, it goes back to hypocrisy. Like, do you want hypocrisy around you in terms of like, I believe this internally, but everything externally to me does not correlate? Like the people I hang out with do not echo these sentiments. Then it becomes a thing of, what percentage of internal and external are you ratioing here? What do you want to be on display? Damn, guys, we zooming out. We zooming back out. I wish I had the hierarchy of ideas. Not gonna do that. Someone can do that on this video. Okay, so we're zooming out. We just finished the second like massive layer, which was skills that count. Now we're going to third, the winter idea. So does that mean skills was the form and me talking about hypocrisy was the summer? It's crazy that hypocrisy is the summer if I make faith the winter in this summer, fall, winter, spring cycle thing. Anyway, okay, so it's almost there. I've almost tweaked the esotericness of this thing. But anyway, so the third major layer is faith in moving on. I don't need to spend a lot of time, even though this is a massive heading, I don't need to spend a lot of time on this. I think what can be zoomed in is people's personal philosophies, people's personal religions. Do I think there is one true religion? Yes, I do. But I think everyone actually who's not in the business of like over philosophizing, I think everyone should think there is like a right answer, because what are you trying to live? It's something that I had a discussion with someone like a couple of weeks ago with regards to I want to find out versus I know it's got to be a good way to go, and so I'm going to choose the good way. I think people who want to find out if there's a right way get scared by people who believe there's a right way. And I think it doesn't have to be so dichotomous. I don't think it has to be so controversial. But then once again, that's bringing it to the first point, which might be the summer in this whole summer, fall, winter, spring cycle: hypocrisy. You gotta accept the hypocrisy in yourself and the hypocrisy in others. Just keep it moving forward and have faith. Take your faith, find your faith, and believe in it. Believe in moving on, like moving forward. There's gonna be no perfect situation. Just talking with the range of people that I talk to, I realized I chose to look in this particular direction. So it is the view of the people that I'm seeing. But just this either apathy or fear or just being so deep in the hole of like messing up, all you can do is have faith in moving on. And like, I will start where I am and I will take one foot forward. And I will believe in mercy. I will believe in forgiveness. Redemption is the story of Isa alayhi salam in the way that it's interpreted in Christianity. This idea of redemption. And I think it can be taken. Take the message and frame it in the way you feel you should frame it, or maybe in the way you should frame it, because faith in moving on. But just have faith and move on, and will just envision better. There's so many crazy situations that I wish I could cash out on now. Like, please let me cash out. But the investment has morphed and it's changed and it's become something totally extra. I don't even know how to explain it. Just 3, faith in moving on. Quick summary of everything we've gone over in this success mindset video, hypocrisy, just accepting our shortcomings and striving for more. That goes on to the skills that count. Those are business skills, how to scale, and culture. And in the business, it's breakage, fish hooks, custom fit, and in skills, it's selling, making, design, hunting. In scale, it's code and content. In culture, it's cohesion, energy. Coordination is so important too, just like having one mind and faith in moving on. So yeah, and then faith in moving on was the winter. And then finally, the final three questions that'll probably balloon into a couple of extra thoughts. But what is feedback? What is hate? Who should care? I'll start with who should care, because who should care is more about who should pay you, who can actually benefit from your message. If you feel you can benefit from my message, DM me on Instagram at orcsheatwes. That's where it starts. But who should care? Customers should care. Reaching out and wanting to improve people's situations. Those people whose situations need improving should care. How do you make them care? By showing them a better way. That literally circles back to selling. It's showing a better way. There's a way that maybe exists now and it's not efficient, or it's just not worth it. Show them there's a better way. And those are the people who should care. What is feedback and what is hate? These are like two of the most vital questions. And you might figure out now why I started with who should care. Feedback is from people who care, give feedback. Even if it sounds whiny, even if it sounds heartbroken, even if it sounds negative, accusatory, just picking at all the worst flaws, that is feedback. And whatever you need to do to learn to take feedback, or negate it if you don't want the feedback, whatever you need to do, unlock that for yourself, and that is feedback. What is hate? Now, hate is someone angry at you for being in the position you're in. That is hate. They are angry at you. They are angry at you. Why are they angry at you? Because they are angry at themselves. Maybe they're angry at themselves because they believed something like this should not be successful. Therefore, they hate you for it, for proving them wrong. Or their life is so miserable that they need to bring other people down. Or they want to be where you are, but they're not willing to put in the effort that you put in, or do the things that you did, because they don't believe that that's the way it should be done, because of their own worldview. That is hate. And fair enough. I think that's another survival thing of the species as a whole. Once again, our survival is actually all up to God and the forces that are in his control, in his creation. But outside of that, in the sense that, on a more microscopic level, we have survived because of all the different races, opinions, ideas, and sometimes it takes the reflection of completely out there idea to then reinvigorate the canon, the orthodoxy. And it's not about revision or changing the script, but rather putting fresh perspective on the script. I actually need a cough, so I think that's an amazing place to leave the video. I hope this success mindset video has helped you. Hypocrisy. We talked about skills. We talked about faith in moving on, and we talk about what is hate, feedback, and who should care. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, and if you just woke up, good morning. Bless.